Hello. Oh, it's time. It's time for D&D. It's about time. I've been waiting so long to play D&D again. It's like it's that itch you just can't get rid of, you know. And it's gonna keep scratching me until I scratch it back. And we're here. We're playing some D&D finally. But as you can see, we're missing one of our fellow adventurers, and that's unfortunate. But the story must go on. Otherwise, I will get the shakes, and we don't want that. So, joining us this week, we have Luke playing Alistair. We have myself playing Walzer. And also, as always, we have Graham, who is our lovely DM. And I believe we're going to do some retconning to make up for the fact that one of our adventurers is missing from our group. So it'll make a lot more sense for the story as a whole. Graham, did you want to take it away?
Yes, well, the very last thing that happened to Alistair, Walzer, and Oral was they saved Bill and Ewan's Wyvern Falls barn and cows from the Wyvernling scourge that has descended upon it and upon the Vale in general. One cow was felled by the Wyvernlings, but all in all, Walzer and his hammer and Alistair with his magic missile and whatever else he did, I don't remember, were able to slay all three of the creatures. With the help of Old John, I might add. I forgot.
Yeah.
It's entirely to Old John, I guess you're saying.
Yeah, we helped Old John, really, didn't we?
But anywho, the very last thing that happened was Oral had basically thrown a dagger into the back of the skull of one of the Wyvernlings, which Old John promptly grabbed and split the Wyvern's head open back to front, and it fell over. When that happens, the Wyvernling collapses to the ground, and but not before striking, basically flailing a second as the dagger is sliced through its brain. It basically convulses and falls over and goes limp. Immediately following the Wyvernling's demise is a bolt of lightning that strikes the distant mountains where the falls are coming from, almost as if to punctuate the scene, and it begins, once again, to rain.
Ah, yes.
The next thing that happens is the crowd that's been gathered around the barn, or around the front of the barn, they see that the Wyvernling is stopped moving. Walzer emerges from the barn with his hammer, kind of having gore kind of dripping from it, I imagine, and Old John kind of huffing and puffing and kind of looking around, looking almost embarrassed would be the right word, as he kind of sees the gaze of his fellow villagers. But the villagers and the people from Wyvern Falls give a great cheer as Walzer emerges from the barn. All right. Do you do anything at that, Walzer?
I just sort of give like a chuckle, and I just sort of like give everyone like a really stupid bow. You know, something that a stage performer might do.
Yeah.
And I sort of mingle my way through the crowd and let everyone know what happened. And
Well, actually, yeah. Before you can actually even get to the crowd, you see one of your partners is not turning to face the crowd. In fact, Oral actually falls to his knees at that moment and clutching his stomach, his abdomen, and he basically just face plants. He falls to his knees, gives basically a groan as if like life is being forced out of his body, and he collapses face first into the wet earth.
Um,
The crowd basically stops. The crowd obviously stops cheering at that point, and they kind of give a gasp. But they're kind of looking back and forth, kind of saying, "Well, what should we do? You know, can't really do anything." Old John sees this. He basically looks frightened almost. His eyes kind of go wide. He looks at the crowd. He looks at you. He looks up. He looks at the mountains, and then he storms off to the west, basically away from you and towards perhaps where his house is, as far as Alistair knows where his house is, without a word.
okay. So, did I see him get hurt at all?
Not that you can tell, but you were also in the barn at the time.
Okay. I want to go over to Oral as quickly as I can, and I want to sort of, see if he's okay. See if he's just not over-dramatizing things.
I'll be doing the same.
Okay, yeah, you both go up there. You turn Oral over. You see that he is essentially passed out. He has the Wyvernling stingers are basically like blades of like cartilage, and there's basically a really sharp needle point that sticks out of them. And you see this about foot-long needle protruding from Oral's abdomen, about halfway out. So the other half is presumably in one of his vital organs, or in his abdomen, in his intestines or something.
Okay, so it's in there deep, or is it in there just sort of hanging in?
Halfway, 6 inches within him.
Okay. Well, I look up at the crowd and say, God. Okay, you're gonna have to help me out here. How easily is sort of surgery or anything like that like a common practice?
Depends on how big of city you are.
Okay.
Certainly, yes, in the big city, but around here, the closest thing would be a medicine woman.
Okay.
Alistair does. Yeah.
So a wound this deep, like say you got it in combat, just from a normal blade. Is it expected that you'd die from something like this?
From a blade, yes, because a blade is broad. And but this you're not sure.
If you got stuck by a stick or something like that, or like a wild boar or something like that, like gouged you or something.
It's possible. You'd have to wait and see. You probably wouldn't kill you immediately. Maybe take a belly wound like that takes a few days, or a day.
And is there any sort of well-known preventative measures for the most part? Like, you can't really tourniquet an abdomen wound. I get that, but like, is there something we can do to suture the wound? Like, is that sort of stuff common knowledge?
Certainly not. However, someone does come to help. It's the small, hunchbacked, wrinkled old crone.
Okay, and
who
her
spoke
name
up.
was
Lady Ferga.
Yeah.
She comes forward. She basically pushes her way through the crowd. There are some murmurs throughout said crowd. And Lady Ferga basically comes across. Everybody's kind of soaking wet, but they still want to see what's going on. Torches are fluttering at the ring that the people were carrying. And Lady Ferga kind of comes up. She says, give him some room, give him some air. And basically trying to shoo you two away.
I look up and I'm like, do you not see the giant stinger hanging out of his guts? The last thing he needs is air, woman.
Give him some room, I can help. Let me see.
I'll turn over to Walzer and be like, I know what she's doing. She knows what she's doing. Just give her some room. She's probably the only one here who can help him.
All right. I'll sort of stand up and I'll walk. I'll just kind of hover, like, I guess, sort of back and forth. Like, I don't know. Is hover the right word? I guess hover is the right word. Just hover over what she's doing.
Yeah, that's good enough. Yes, the old woman, the old crone, she basically leans down on one leg, kneeling, looks at the wound, sees that it is bleeding, sees that it is deep, and she'll say, "You, Moose," pointing to Walter, and will and say, "And Alistair, will you help me carry him into Bill's house?"
Yeah.
Certainly.
Okay.
All right.
So you do so.
I'll pick him up by his shoulders, sort of thing.
All right. I'll hold his legs. We'll need to hold him as still as possible
Okay.
and as prone as possible.
All right.
All right. Now you carry him to Bill's house, the closest house, the father of Charlie, who's the little boy who you were talking to earlier, and whose cows you saved. Um, Bill and Ewan own this house, and Bill comes over and basically tries to help, but whenever he touches Oral on the side to try and support you, he gives a groan and then he lets go and then he just kind of walks beside you. Or Oral gives a groan, is what I meant. And you kind of go up the front steps. You see that there is a dying potted plant on the porch. Anywho, you carry him. Bill opens the door for you. You carry him inside and set him on a, couch. So Lady Fur can get a good look at him. Do you do anything within the house? The house is sparsely furnished, not many belongings. The decorations are slight, if there at all. Clearly, farmers of, practical station.
All right. I turn to Fergus and I'm like, "Is there anything that you need me to get?"
And he says, "Yes, Alistair, go with the big one here and go back to the hut. Get my poisoning or get my antidote kit."
I'm not leaving.
I'm going to need you to come with... She'll need to work. Also, you'll need to come with me. It's better if we do it what she says.
I give Oral a once more, just sort of looking at him, and I'm like, "I'm trusting you with his life, woman." And then I walk out the door with Alistair.
She looks at you, watches you go. The crowd has, about half of them have dispersed back to their homes, about half of which kind of milling around the porch, trying to stay out of the rain, maybe here. Kind of trying to look in the window. You got to push past a few people to get outside. Alistair knows where to go, and you guys talk about anything on the way there.
I don't really say much. God. Okay, so I think for the most part, I think Walzer would deal with his grief in in a particular way, and I think the first one would be to make to make jokes and stuff, because that's what he's used to. So maybe he'll turn to Alistair and he'll say, he's like, "You should have made it levitate."
Maybe I should have at that. Well, let's just focus on what we can do rather than what has happened.
All right. Okay, fine.
All right.
Lead the way.
Up.
Let's go to this crony's house.
Yeah, you go to Lady Fergus' house. It's just as you remember, nothing's different. They're basically files and jars and clay pots kind of stacked up on shelves. There's a rocking chair and a single small cot in one corner. And essentially you grab a small case about, Lady Fergus size, about calendar size box with a handle.
Yep.
That makes sense. And do you just grab it, or do you look inside, or whatever?
I'll open it up to give kind of like a perfunctory check to see whether or not everything's in there.
Looks all the vials look relatively full. There's nothing empty.
That's good. All right. Yep. Well, then we'll close it up and then we'll get going. I might take a quick look around as we're going to see if there's anything else that I might think might be useful.
Well, certainly anything in here is useful in some situation.
Well, are there any, maybe any other... So we've got the potions and the herbs. They'd have enough linen at the house, I guess, for any kind of bandaging needs.
I think we should just make our way back here as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's not too much time to really think. We got to get back.
Yeah. I pick up the suitcase by its shoulders. Alistair, grab its legs.
All right, so we've grabbed. Yeah, okay, so we've grabbed this thing and then we're on our way back.
Yeah.
Okay, running back, that's fine. When you get back into the house, you see that Lady Furka has basically removed the needle with her hands and laid it on the coffee table, and is right now kind of applying water from a water skin with a linen cloth, basically to the wound, and she kind of motions you over with the case.
All right, so we'll go over there then, and sitting like opening the case and setting it up like on a bench.
That's fine. She also you also see what appears to be a kind of clay pot that's got some sort of paste in it. As far as what it is, I'm not sure either of you could be able to tell.
Does it have a particularly pungent smell to it or anything like that?
Actually, Alistair, give me an agriculture check.
All right, that would be.
I have 14 on here.
All right,
So you need lower than a 14 or 14.
so just a 1d20 then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Boop.
No.
Hmm.
Critical fail.
Damn. All right.
All right then. Yeah, you see that this she's got some sort of paste. You don't know what could be in there. It's probably magical something. But anyway, she's got this paste. She's mixing it with a wooden spoon. She takes some of the herbs, a vial of the herbs from the case, and dumps about half of it into the paste, and stoppers it and puts it back, and then takes a piece of cloth from the case and sets it aside where she can easily get to it. And then she takes a clean cloth that Ewan has given her and dries. She's also ripped Oral's, or someone has ripped Oral's, clothing open to get, access to the wound. And she essentially has dried it, and the bleeding is, at least for this time being, stopped. But she's taking this paste now, and then she begins to glob it onto the wound with this wooden spoon, and mashes it on, and basically pats it on there. Secondly, taking the long strip of cloth from the case and sets it over this pasted wound, and then wraps Oral in a blanket with Ewan's help. She will say, that's, I've treated she's basically talking to Walter. I've treated the wound with a poultice, and the poison shouldn't be deadly, but I'm afraid the wound might open again. Either way, he does need to rest now, so just give him some sleep, I guess.
I turned back to Alistair and I was like, so where's the old one, the gentleman that was flirting with us?
Old John?
Old John.
Yes.
I saw him storm off soon after the fight. He went to the west, I think. That's where his house is, or at least I remember that. I don't know. I haven't seen him since.
Right. I need information on where these bloody things go.
Yeah, we do, don't we?
We do.
All right.
And it seems like he
I
knows a
might
thing
turn
or two
around.
about these bloody monsters. So let's go find him and let's do what we came here to do.
Well, at this point it is deep into the night, and the rest of the villagers have dispersed, seeing the action is over, and Oral doesn't seem in any danger of dying immediately.
Okay.
All right.
So the rest of the people have gone, but Bill and Ewan and their children, Charlie and goodness gracious, and their daughter.
I think I have a name written down here. Let me check.
Lori is her name, yeah. And Bill kind of stops you at the door. He says, "Please, old John is a old stubborn man. He'll come around."
I put my hand on Bill's shoulder and I say,
Push him further away.
oh, sorry, what was that?
So you only push him farther away if you try to force him to do anything.
I put my hand on his shoulder and I say, well, you don't have much say in this. And I push him out of the doorway and I say, Alistair, let's go find this old man.
Okay.
All right. I'll walk up and say, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, my friend, but the villagers are right. I've known old John for quite some time, and trying to get him to do something he doesn't want to do is like trying to fight a river. We best take care of Oral first, see if we can get him settled. I'll turn around to Bill and I'm like, do you still have that spare room at the back?
And says, yes, please have a seat in the kitchen. My wife will prepare a lovely meal for the two of you. It's the least we can do for saving the cows. We got a fresh cow out there. Now I'll make some fine steaks for you. You'll stay the night and take care of this bloody business in the morning.
I'll turn around to Walter and we're like, I can assure you, old John will be back when, he will be back. We don't need to go find him. He will come to us.
And I suppose we should sit on our thumbs and merry away the night while my brother lies dying on the bed with no answers as to why these things came about. And you suppose that I'm just going to sit here and eat cow like the rest of you?
Do you suppose you're going to go out there with me and put ourselves at risk and then...
Well, if not you, then
maybe
just
put ourselves in the
myself.
same
All I
situation?
need is information.
Even more riskier. That was not very good English there, was it? Even riskier at that. Best to stay here, because that was 3. Who knows how many more there are. And old John knows how to take care of himself.
I'll sit in the against a wall next to Oral, I guess, and I won't
Okay.
move. And that's where I'll sit for the night.
All right then.
Yeah. So
All
sort
right.
of just
Yeah.
playing the faithful brother, I guess, for the most part.
Okay. Alistair, what do you do?
All right. I'll turn around to Bill and you, and I'll thank them for their help and their hospitality. I guess I'll kind of hover around the room as well. Like I'll be staying kind of like in the main room. We'll also guess we'll try and get Oral to the spare room. I'm not too sure if they still have that spare room. He didn't really answer me.
Okay, that's fine. They say basically, yeah. I mean, don't bother moving him. It's not an inconvenience or anything.
Yeah. All right.
You can stay in the back room. There's like a portal doorway that you can go through to get to the other room. It's kind of in the same room. But they do still want to. They still do cook a dinner for you, even if you're not going to eat it. Steak strips, potatoes, bacon, onions.
When was the last time I ate, out of curiosity? Would you have any idea?
I imagine you ate when Murray made that stew for you last night.
Yeah. So a whole night. Okay.
Perhaps you had some rations earlier in the day, but besides that, I imagine you're fairly hungry.
Well, I would eat it begrudgingly then, I guess.
Do you drink the ale that they pour for you?
No. No way.
No.
This is not a time for celebration, after all.
Every once in a while, you catch Charlie or the young girl kind of peeking down from upstairs, looking around the corner at you.
Is anyone around when I notice this?
No.
Alright. What type of curiosity has you, young lady?
Who are you talking to?
The girl.
Yeah. She kind of starts at that, kind of gives like a little, mousy noise, and then runs back up the stairs.
Well, then I will attempt to get any sort of rest I can, but I assume that it's not going to be very much. More on restless nights, I guess. So.
Why don't you make a constitution check to both of you?
Absolutely. My con, I think, is 11. Let me just double check that. It is.
I have 11. I think Alistair also has 11.
Yep. My constitution is also 11.
Alright. Passed for shiz.
Yeah.
Alistair actually has a more rough time of sleeping than you do, Walzer. Walzer, you basically fall asleep and don't wake up until um, morning, but Alistair does toss and turn.
I guess the last sleep I had was in the rain, so not much of a sleep. So there was that, but yeah. So I guess the activities probably zonked me out more than anything.
Yeah, you did spend a lot of time swinging that hammer.
I did.
It's
Yeah.
more fatigue than like restful sleep, I suppose.
The You are actually awoken, or Alistair is actually awoken. Walzer is not by a loud knock at the door, like a big pounding.
Oh, John, you
Which
shut
All
up.
right.
only assume is the crack of dawn.
Yeah.
You kind of open your eyes. You see Bill run down the stairs or kind of walk quickly down the stairs into the door. Opening it, you hear some talking, blah blah blah, and old John and Bill come into the room where you guys are sleeping. And old John, Walzer, you're woken up by the feeling of old John's boot in your side.
I open one eye and look at him.
And he says, "Get up, boys. Work to be done. We're losing daylight. We're gonna get up there and take care of these bastards. We gotta get going." You see, he's got a trusty pitchfork.
Is it
I've
sharpened?
at the look of old John jumping in, I've jumped to attention for remembering how old John used to clout me as a youth if I was trying to be lazy. So I've already like jumped to attention kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. I stand up and I dust myself off, and I'm like, took your time, old man. I was ready the moment this happened last night.
It's just you mind your tone with me, boy.
Excuse you. You would be in a different predicament if it wasn't for myself and my brother here. And here he is lying on this couch because of what happened here, so it should be the other way around, old man. And then I walk out the door.
Okay. Old John looks at Alistair, and then also walks out the door after him in the same demeanor.
I'm just cringing inside that that someone's kind of like talking back to old John like this.
Yeah.
I guess because since Walser hasn't lived around, it's strange to see how a newcomer would talk to like a respected member. So I'm kind of a little bit shocked, but also it's pretty amusing. But I'll walk out quite quickly after him.
Okay. Walzer, where are you going? He's walking.
No, I walk out on the porch and I wait for him, and I'm like, so just wait for him to show up.
Okay. So old John walks out as well. You see that he's wearing different clothes, clean clothes as opposed to y'all. But he's got his a different pair of overalls. Kind of a yellow-looking shirt that's got one hole in it that's been rolled up to his sleeves. But he's also got what appeared to be kind of a torso of kind of very thick padding around him that's kind of framed by his overalls. Basically, it's his overalls kind of strapped to his chest, but he's got this thick padding on covering his torso. Otherwise, he's got his pitchfork with him and what appears to be a water skin that has been strapped from shoulder to hip around one side.
Is it a big water skin? It sounds like it's huge.
Normal water skin size,
Okay.
half gallon.
Alright.
Mm.
I turned to him and was like, "You expecting to fight, old man? I thought you were just going to drag us up there."
He says, "Well, you're a man down."
Yeah, don't remind me.
All right, so I'll turn to old John and like, so you have an approximate idea of where they've been coming from then?
And he says, "Fall seems like as good a place as any to start."